All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Throttled Roots podcast, recorded here at our studio inside of Ventura, Harley-Davidson. So if you're looking for a new, pre-owned, or any service, even parts actually, Ventura Harley-Davidson is a spot that you want to come and check out. And this episode brought to you by none other than Law Tigers. 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. You or anybody who's been injured in a motorcycle accident, the only people to call is Law Tigers. So we got Brandi. I'm just going to say Brandi because she already scolded me with the second. Only Mama calls me by the first name. Only Mama calls me by the full name. We got Brandi here with us. And I will first female guest in our new studio.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
So I guess that's a little first on the TR studio record here.
Okay.
So thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. For those of you guys that don't know Brandi, writer on Instagram, remind me one more time the Instagram handle.
Girl loves Harleys.
Girl
loves Harleys.
Girl loves Harleys. Okay,
Yeah.
Very fitting. Seems to make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting some content out there, just kind of putting out your journey.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it started out kind of just me riding, not having my own bike, and then went into my whole journey of how I got through the schooling and training and starting to ride myself.
Okay. So there's some background, there's some context to it before this page kind of started. Then,
absolutely.
Okay.
In there always.
Yeah. Well, for this, there's podcasts that I have friends that come in here and I know history, we got background, and we can just banter or we can go from there. In this case, this is for us our first introduction to each other,
right?
And so I like these.
Hopefully not our last.
Well, no, never planned for it to be that. We always say around here, once you're in the studio, you're family. That's kind of the way it is, you know. But I always enjoy these type of podcasts as well because I get to learn about the person along with our audience. So people kind of watch along, they find your page, and then they make their own assumption on whatever it is they're seeing on the screen without really being able to talk to the person. So
of course.
This is what my favorite part about having someone I've never talked to is just kind of getting to know one another.
Yeah. All right.
So, a little bit about your background then. That'd be, I guess, a good place to start considering we like motorcycles around here.
Yes, of course.
A little bit of your background, maybe like where you started with motorcycles. Was it young? Was it in your family? Where'd you kind of pick this up?
Well, I come from a family of riders. My father rode a Honda, my mom rode a Honda, my brother rode a Honda, and then my brother rode dirt bikes. So my first bike I ever rode was a little Honda 50. It's like my 8th, 9th birthday, something like that. And we had to push that thing, pop the clutch, and take off on it. I mean, that's how that thing went.
The way your first bike needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Had the big old seat on the back, and I got a couple bloody noses on that thing and broke my brother's nose, I think. Yeah. So it was quite an adventure bike that we had. So, and then my mom actually preferred me to stay away from motorcycles because she wanted my interest to be in horses.
As a mom, probably most moms aren't like, go get on that motorcycle.
Yeah, exactly. So, but even though my dad, my brother rode, her focus and my focus ended up being more in horses. My mom passed away about 3 years ago, and I at her funeral, I ran into some photos of her on her Honda.
Wow.
And I actually just recently posted one on my page of my mom and my dad riding. I've always known, or my father says, I'm an Indiana girl. So we're bred a little different. I mean, we ride tractors, drive tractors. I've been driving a stick car since I was 14 years old. You know, my mom actually taught me how to drive a stick every day after school. She'd say, she bought me this little $400 Ford Escort. You just pop that thing and go. And she taught me how to drive a stick because she said, every day you're going to get off that school bus. You're going to come down to the end of this driveway. You're going to sit in this car, and I'm going to teach you how to get to the end of the road. You get to the end of the road. I don't care what age you are. You can take off and drive.
Oh, that's a good goal to get. Like, I can drive once I know how.
Exactly.
Later.
Well, the lesson to be learned here is that the first time I got in the car and thought, okay, this is going to be easy. I'm going to take off and head to the end of the road. My mom, I popped the clutch, choked it, died, and jumped that thing forward. I had this hand come about 50 miles an hour right back of my head, and I hit the steering wheel. My mom slapped me in the back of the head, and I said, "What the hell did you do that for?" And she said, "Well, I want you to get to the end of the driveway faster because you're not going to want to get hit in the back of the head again." So I did it one more time, and I came at me, and she called it the 580. Actually, it was 5 fingers coming 80 miles an hour. So I actually told that at her eulogy. and everybody laughed too. But yeah, that's how I was taught. It's always tough love.
So that was your introduction to it. And
yes,
I could relate when you were talking about the little 50. My first was a little beat up little pit bike or not a pit bike, a mini bike that my dad put together with a Honda mower, and I crashed the thing, and we had the pull string was broken, so
no shocks, nothing, rubber wheels.
Just go. So when you start at that base, when you start at that core of it, it's really like that's when the passion is really like burned into you.
Absolutely. And I grew up in farmland. So the only way we got to each other's houses was by horseback or motorcycles. So, my 13th birthday, my bike or my gift from my parents was a quad. So I would ride, meet up with the boys in the neighborhood, because I was the only girl that rode one. And we'd hook it up we go out in the woods actually and make tree houses and pull trees down with our quads and everything else. So we build forts and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been around it for a while.
There's a tie to it. You go back a ways with it. It's not just something and that's where I kind of go back to. Some people are going to find your page right now and maybe just kind of go, oh, well, who's this? Where'd she come from?
Some blonde girl trying to ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can probably either sense that, feel that, get energy from that, get comments on that, things like that. So that's why I think it's social media. I guess that's a point to make right now, is social media doesn't always tell you what you need to know about somebody, and
I think it also is a difference. Like, I feel like I'm different from when I first started my social media page to even now. Like, I'm a different writer.
Sure.
I'm a different person even. And it's just been even a short time that I've had the page, and short time that I've been writing, but I've had different goals along the way. And as I achieve them, I think me as a person changes also. So the direction I want to take with the page and my career is different than what it was when I initially started it.
Yep.
So it's a journey. Everything's a journey.
It's a journey. That's maturity. Yeah. That's just something, something else spun off. So what was then like what you're kind of maybe like your first, not that those are your first bike. What's your first kind of like street legal bike? Where did you kind of maybe get into that realm of motorcycling?
Well, I had a Ducati in high school, rode that for a little bit, but then I went right off to college and it went very quickly. I was gone. So really to say, my first street bike is this Harley. Okay. I mean, it's really when I said, okay, I told my father, when I've only been riding, had the page since August, bought the bike September for Labor Day weekend sale at Harley-Davidson. And then I have been riding, I got my license and started riding the end of October. That's as long as I've been riding.
2024?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
So that's like
so you're.
Yeah. But when I told my father I was going to ride a Harley, he's like, well, if it's got wheels, or he's like, you can ride it or you can drive it, because I can back up a 30-foot horse trailer, so it's not far off for me.
I feel you. So how far in between then has it been since like when you had the Ducati before college and all that stuff? I guess I'm not trying to put anything, but there's sounds have been like a period of time where you weren't on a motorcycle, at least your own.
Oh goodness, I have not been on a motorcycle. This Harley is the first motorcycle I've been on in over 25 years.
Okay.
Even on the back?
Oh, backpacking, I backpacked, yeah.
Okay.
I was passenger,
okay.
Yeah.
So you've been in riding, just riding. Not riding yourself.
Yes, yeah. So I would say over the last 2 years, I've been riding as a passenger, backpack, whatever you want to call it.
All right.
Yeah.
So did riding as the backpack, air quotes, kind of inspire you a little bit more? Or I guess what was the motivation, I guess? What was at the helm of your motivation to be like, I want to be back on a motorcycle like I was on the street? And what was it about a Harley? Because you grew up on Hondas, you grew up on, other types of like dirt bikes. I had dirt bikes and stuff too. Most of us kind of have that same similar background.
Well, me personally, I'm kind of a 110% kind of girl. So it's like go big or go home. So I went for Harley, right? And I feel like it matches my personality. But the reason why I went from that is because I was riding with an MC before. I was a girl riding on the back, and there was no holds bar on that. That was, you learn how to ride, you learn how to hold on. And it was a lot of that, that adrenaline, the rush of the group, the riding on back and that kind of thing. It was just something that I really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. And it was a boyfriend at the time. And when that ended, I was like, shit, I like the motorcycle better than the guy.
I hear a lot of people say backpack nowadays.
Yeah.
Was that big back? I mean, I don't recall, like I've heard it time or two, like maybe back in the day, but I hear it
I think it's more nowadays. Of a connotation.
So
for
is
bikers.
It something new that's coming up? Because I mean, I used to always say, hey, are you going 2-up, or, we riding 2-up today, or is your lady going? No, it was never, I mean, I hear it more now, I guess, than
To be
what I
honest with
used
you,
to.
I feel like
think it's
a,
maybe more because girls
sport
are
bike.
riding now.
I think it's more of a, I feel like it's, I want to call it a comeback, as weird as that may sound, because it's not a new term.
No,
Like
it's not like a new term, but I hear it more now than I ever really have. To
When
be
I think of
honest with
backpack, it's sport bikes actually, because the girl is actually riding almost where she's
you. That's
over
what
the
I'm saying.
top,
Okay,
right?
so yeah, that's maybe why. Because
But I think that kind of stuck, and now I believe everything's very generational right now. So I mean, there's a whole, especially where I'm from in San Diego, that area now. It's, you know, you got your influencers, you got a lot of new young bikers that are out that are not, you know, it's a whole influx of a new generation of riders, and so that. I think they'd much rather be called a backpack than a passenger for some reason. But yeah, yeah, I think it's just it's a new term. You know,
I think that's a good. You can kind of fit in probably with that. Not lump of people. That's a terrible way to put it, but category of people, the new riders.
Yeah,
you know, that are introduced to this industry and this scene. I've been in a Harley thing for 20 plus years, and yeah, MC. You know. State to state, 1,000 miles, all kinds of stuff, right? And so I grew up in it. I grew up in the thing. So I guess that's kind of just an interesting new take. There is a lot of generational people, and what's, I guess sometimes it's hard to separate at times. What is the new in for? Is the new in for the social media aspect and the influencer aspect and the eyes on me aspect? Or is it because it's I wouldn't say it's contradicting, but I'm in the passenger seat, or I'm in the hot seat of saying, well, social media what are you using it for? Well, yeah, I'm using it to reach people. It transitioned to that versus now there's people that feel like sometimes where you drop in to just have that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think everybody's reasoning is a little bit different. So I can say, just even if you look at the audience that I have on my own social media, I've got the graybeards. I've got the guys that are diehard riders. I got the old dudes that are just like, you know, this is a respect for you, woman. You go do your thing. Right. Then I got these guys that are, you know, of just appreciative of the motorcycle. They like to do the rides. They're the long, you know, adventure trips and this kind of stuff. There's those guys. Then you got a group of women that are just like a camaraderie of broads that are just like, hey, you know, we've got this. Let's do some girl power shit and be on this page and, you know, ride with each other. San Diego's a little bit different. I mean, I think we're really setting kind of a trend for these influencers, right? So I know a majority of them that are there. And do I consider myself part of that group? No, I'm a little bit older than them. Maturity wise, and I don't go on the group rides with the influencers. I have a very select group of riders that I ride with in a group. But do I influence? Absolutely. And my reasons for doing it are a little bit different maybe than theirs. I think that it gets you out on the bike. You want content. You want to be able to, you know, have fresh stuff that's out there. For me, I'm looking to build career and build money off of this, to be honest with you.
Okay. So
it's profession.
So there is a profession. There is a beyond just sharing your journey, you have a
purpose,
a concept, an idea, a goal that you're trying to work towards.
Absolutely.
So there is a little bit of trying to, let's say, I think for me, being in the industry, I think it's fair for me to say at this point that I'm in the industry, I'm in the scene. Is this like trying to break into it, get into it?
So I've been in marketing. I run my own marketing agency, and I actually have been with a female motocross apparel brand for the past 5 years.
Okay.
But aside from that, I've had other clients, and my 9-to-5 job that pays for my Harley is healthcare marketing. So what I'm looking to do is get more into something. You know, I'm reaching the end portions of my life the way I see it, and I'm going to ride a Harley all the way to the end of it. Yeah, I'm going to ride my bike all the way to the end. I want to enjoy life at this point. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I really would like to. Like the other day, I actually applied for a job at Harley-Davidson corporate.
Okay.
And I put it out on my page, you know, that I had done that. And then I had a couple people reach out and say, and this is what I love about community. This is what this means too. I put it out there that they sent me a text message and said, your resume has been, you know, taken by Harley-Davidson. And I had 2 people reach out that said, here, you need to talk to this person that's a headhunter and this person that's connected with them. And I appreciate that. You know, I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not had this page, for example.
Right.
I want to do something the end of my life that I enjoy doing. And this is an industry that I absolutely love. I have a great, and what you've probably heard a million times over from everybody in different ways, in different walks of life, that bike saved my life. It saved my life because it gave me a purpose again. It gave me creativity again. It gave me a reason to get out and see California in ways that I've never seen it before. It's my therapist. After a stressful day at work, I jump on that girl and I'm gone. It's just, even if it's for a short ride, it is something that I need, and to be able to appreciate that into a profession that I can do very well. And also it's opened a whole new area for me to be able to do better content for my own clients on social media.
I feel you.
Yeah. So it's,
it's opened up portals. Like there's more.
Absolutely.
It's and I we're talking about it from my perspective, just because I know that you get that. I've seen, I kind of just go and do a little quick research on our, who's coming in, especially in the case where I haven't really talked to them. And I've seen that I don't know this necessarily, I don't want to put words in your mouth and say defend, but at least just speak against some of the
negativity.
Stereotypes.
I guess stereotypes or I guess not the perception, because I think that's really like why this conversation is kind of happening. What I think is the difference between when someone looks at a social media page and they go, okay, it's the perception of what they're making it to be by simply looking at the content that you're creating. They're not sitting behind the screen with you or in the journey of your ride and you're this and why you decided to buy the bike 25 years later with this intent and this in mind, and not knowing like this is the goal. They're just going to make the perception of here's what I see.
Well, and that perception for me, like I told you, changed from the beginning. So if you look at some of my first posts, actually what got me to open up a page was I did an interview with a dealership. And when I got off I was about one of 5 girls that was at the bike night. And I got off doing this
down south, San Diego area? Okay.
Yeah. I did a live with San Diego Harley-Davidson. They pulled me over and started interviewing me in front of the whole thing at the bike night. And then they pulled me off to the side and said, is this something, we could see you doing? And then while I was there, everyone's asking me, what is my Instagram? I'm like, well, I'm not giving everybody my private Instagram. It's got my kids on there and everything else, and so after I left there, I had a mechanic that I knew that's there in Solana Beach. It's like one of the oldest, 45 years they've been there, Moreland Choppers. He brought me aside and he's like, hey, if you can do this, do some stuff for us, you know? I was like, me being in marketing, I know how to do social media. I know how to do the videography. I was like, well, how am I going to do this? So I actually just started out being, riding with a good friend of mine and my iPhone in my hand and just recording our rides, and that's kind of how it started out. But the stereotype that I fell into is like, oh, well, I need to show tits and ass because that's what a biker chick is, right? So and then
no, you're right, and I think that's what a lot of the perception that I keep referring to is like when they see that come in, is that the intent, is that the goal? And
it's really surprising.
Go ahead.
It's really surprising how that's changed. So, I mean, I started out, showing a little bit of that and then kind of doing the things that were trending and stuff. And, but I'm like, it's not exactly me. I mean, it's not what I want to show. So now I started getting into more of like what I enjoy, the actual videography of it and the messaging and what it means to be a rider and what it means to be on that bike and those things that we all know, but we aren't saying always out loud. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what I want to tap into.
Okay.
And bring that journey forward. And when I started to do that and I started to actually like voice my own rides and things like that and kind of my own motivational ones, I got a ton of messages saying, I like what you're doing.
Good.
And you're not showing tits and ass. And I appreciate that.
So I want to ask, because, we have female guests in the past. We've had a handful of them, more, but from a female's perspective, if you sense that is what's happening on someone's page, what is that? Do you feel like that?
You mean if they're showing
everybody? Like, yeah. I mean, what's?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
like,
you know what? I also know I've been in that stage before. And let me say, all the girls that are doing it, go for it. If that's what makes you feel good, because there's a stage in a woman's life where if you're, you feel comfortable in your own skin, and you want to show it, damn well show it. That's how I feel. Like I support those women.
I'm with that.
100%. If that's what makes them feel good, for sure.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
I got 3 daughters. Yeah. And when and however, if they end up on motorcycles, Lord help me, because I'll kill anybody that comes close to them. But I mean, I've got 3 daughters, and I would love to have one of them. I think my youngest one is my only hope of one that will ride. But I want them, if they do decide to get into it.
Have they rode in the back with you?
My oldest.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of did a little hiatus on kids here. So I have an 18-year-old and then I have a 4 and a 3-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I went.
He took a break like you did from riding.
Yeah. I took a break from kids. Yeah. That's what I did, But I would love to have them get on there and do something like this. I'd maybe they watch me through this journey and they want to get involved in it. I, as their, would want them to be. I do this to share my history, my culture, my ties, my upbringing in it, because I'm raising my kids in this thing. They're around motorcycles all the time. They're in the garage with me.
I love it
all the time. Like it's more than just the motorcycles, because the group of people that comes along with it is, to me, I've recognized as like, these are usually good character people.
Absolutely. They're people. That's the thing. You know, I was raised, like I said, in Indiana. My father rebuilds classic cars.
Oh,
so yeah,
I can talk.
Yeah, we have
what does he have before we do that? Let's talk about the important.
Okay.
What does he have as far as what does he have?
Okay, so we have a 69 Chevelle Super Sport.
Ooh, I
Color?
68.
Red.
Oh, red.
Yes.
Tan interior, black
interior.
Okay, all right. I'm just trying to get a little visual.
I had a 68.
Okay, all right.
Red,
we have a 55 Bel Air.
Okay.
And I think
also
it has
what color?
It's red and white with the black or red and white interior.
Nice.
With the white
But
stripe?
that's his trophy vehicle. It's a sleeper. It's a sleeper car. I mean, the engine, I don't even remember what he's got in, but I think it's insane horsepower. So yeah, that's his get up and go car.
Okay.
And then that's one that wins all of the car shows in the Midwest with him. So
And he's built these?
my dad is a tool and die maker.
Oh, okay.
So he fabricates, he does all the work, and he just got a new Impala. I forget the year, but it's brand new. He just sent me pictures on the way here. He's like, look at the whole body. He's like, I scraped 60 years of rust off this thing, and now he's just got it power coated. So yeah, my dad and I's pictures back and forth, or my Harley and his cars. So
nice.
yeah,
That's
I
cool.
do have a father. My dad's reaching 77 this coming year. And so he said, I'm going to have a legacy vehicle with my daughter. So we have a 69 Camaro Super Sport with a 402 big block in it together.
That's
yeah.
nice.
It's gray with black racing stripes. The interior is being worked on right now.
Nice.
So he does it all.
Well, sounds like him and I can get along.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
yeah.
We got a few cars.
That's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were saying,
He's got his own shop at his house, but he still works. He still has his company full time.
man,
And then he says he's retired. That means he doesn't go into work on Friday, but then he's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. He's either in his shop working on his cars, or he is at a car show. So he's at a swap meet today.
But that's not work when he's working on the car.
Yeah.
That's a hobby, man. That's life right there.
I know. I do tell the kids the same thing. Where are you going? To the garage. To do what? To work.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up
It's
running
not
around
work,
those car
man.
shows and
That's
stuff with
fun.
him, and he's on Facebook Marketplace all the time.
Every man is.
Yes.
Mike, constantly on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, daily.
Hourly.
No reason at all.
Hourly. Joe, do you shop Facebook
I
Marketplace?
don't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have?
I don't
Yeah, I
have
have Facebook for Marketplace.
Yeah.
That's me too, just for Marketplace.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and run my clients' ads. But yeah, I put my dad. I told him, I said, I need to put you on location. Like I put him on my phone location. He goes, why are you doing that? I said, Dad, because you're traveling everywhere.
Oh.
He's like, I'm up in Cincinnati. I'm like, Dad, why are you in Cincinnati? There's a good part I found on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, he's traveling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's
It's
traveling.
his purpose now. So
That's
he
cool.
loves it. Yeah. He's got a whole squad, and he's got a rat rod too. He's working on too. So
Okay.
yeah, he's got a few things.
So he's a gearhead.
Yes.
By all means, he's
Yeah.
a gearhead.
Yeah.
Good.
Very
So
nice.
But you were saying that about him. I'm sorry, I interrupted you because I went squirrel when you said about the cars. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's talk about the cars. But
I mean, that's my upbringing, right? So the cars, I've been with him everywhere since I was a kid, whether it was my dad's also a big game deer hunter. Well, he's a whitetail deer hunter. And then he, for me, it's like, I don't want to say I was raised like his son, because he has a son. I have a brother, but I've always been more interested in that type of thing. So I've always been very fortunate to have a dad who's always taught me everything.
That's
so
cool.
yeah, he always said, if you never had a man in your life, you're going to know how to do it all. So yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what I tell
Yeah.
my girls, man. I tell them, you're not going to need a man. You'll want him when
The
you want him,
unfortunate part of
you're
that
not
is,
gonna
though,
ever need one.
The unfortunate part of that's up until now, every relationship I've had, I felt like I was the man. That's the bad part.
Unfortunately, then you must have been dating some very
Yes, yes, I was. Yes, I was.
Listen, we all pick wrong ones in our
Yeah.
past, boy. I got a checkered past too,
Yeah.
man. You know.
I think finding hardworking old blue collar man,
Absolutely.
it's becoming harder and harder.
Oh, yeah,
to
that's
do.
hard,
I
but
mean, I
they're
search everywhere and I cannot find one. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I was like, wait a minute, where'd this
But no,
podcast just go?
No, I see it. I mean, even in my son and his friends, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? The stuff they do, and it's totally different from what we did when
Yeah.
we were kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We didn't have the rules and as much, you know, it was more freedom.
What does it say? We drank out of hoses and
Yeah, exactly.
and
You
our
know
parents
what I
locked us
mean?
out of the house till
yeah,
night.
I mean,
yeah.
the bicycle shins, you know what I mean, with the
Yeah.
pedals, and it was like we just dealt with it.
Oh, I got
you
a
know?
pipe burn on here, like the size of my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually, when I
So-
posted the pipe burn, that's what got me my new pipes.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good.
I posted
for
the,
my pipe. Hey, I got leg burn. Look at these boot marks. My boots are burnt. Hey, Wolverine or whoever, I got burn marks on my shit.
yeah, but seriously. So they're actually in the works. So if I can name drop my pipe guys, I'd love that. But it's
Please do.
TCB Performance. His name's Derek. He's out of Conroe. Conroe, Texas.
TCB Performance.
TCB Performance.
All right.
Yeah.
Stainless,
So
what'd you do?
here's my cheat sheet here.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is the first cheat sheet we've had at the podcast.
Well,
studio.
I'm slightly prepared, but he said it's full medical stainless steel or stainless grade material, 1-off pipe, 2-to-1.
Yeah, stainless.
Nice. Okay, stainless.
So he's actually coming from Texas to do the install on my bike
Oh, damn.
to San Diego.
What we haven't even said. What bike do you have?
Oh, I have a 2024 Street Bob.
2024.
Yeah,
Street Bob.
114.
Brand new.
Yeah, brand new.
Man, I want brand new one day. I rode we went to Vertical Cycles yesterday and they do suspension and all kinds of stuff. And they have a couple bikes there and they pulled them all out for us. And Joe's like,
The 2025s?
no, they're bikes that they're
Mm.
putting their suspension on, like
Yeah.
their shop bikes.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled like 4 or 5 of them out for us, man. And we're like walking, like, hey, you want to go ride the bikes? And Joe's like, we're gonna ride the bikes. I'm like, yeah, buddy, let's go do this. You know?
Let's rivet.
So, but we got to go ride them, and we took 2 of them out, and then we kind of rode around. Then we're like, he's like, you want to ride this one? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to try that one. And it was a new Softail.
Oh yeah.
If I'm gonna be blunt, and it had good suspension, that probably helped, of course, I'm sure. But if I think I'm gonna be honest, that is quite possibly, I think, the first Softail that I've just ridden.
Mm.
Period. I'm like, whoa.
Same.
If I was to buy off the catalog this year of the 2025s, though, I would definitely say I would not be getting. I mean, I don't want to trash it, but it's what they have featured in the catalog for the Street Bob this year. It's yellow, a lot of chrome, but it is a 117. But I would have to go for the Lowrider ST this year.
Everybody's on the lowrider.
Yeah.
I personally never really cared for the Street Bobs, just my opinion. I don't like the way the tank shapes,
Yeah.
and I've never liked the back fender on them. That's just me, because I noticed
They're
that.
bobbed, aren't they?
It's shorter, and
Yeah.
then the tank is a little more round. It doesn't have
It's a
the
smaller
same
tank,
shape
yeah.
as the actual.
But that's what I didn't want to like. As a woman,
Mhm.
you know, the dealerships. I don't want to say they try to, but they do. I mean, as a woman, they try to get you into a sporty, and I didn't. I wanted to have respect. I wanted to drive a machine. You know, I wanted to ride a machine. Whoop! Does he have a sporty? Oh shit!
I'm a fat mom. But no matter who you are,
A sporty is.
or you're like,
You get the look, man.
Yeah, I mean that's, and
No
I
offense,
actually didn't
Roach
even.
or Cody Wayne. Those boys can rip.
But I'm
Oh, and
also,
Colton.
you know, I'm also not a small woman. I'm 5'8", so I can,
Yeah.
I can, you know, I don't want to say wrap my legs around a taller bike, which I can, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to go too big where I felt it was too heavy, you know.
I think the Sporties actually sit a little taller, don't they?
I mean, they're heavier on the
For
front.
where the seat is.
They're heavier on the front, but taller. I don't really know, because I know a lot of shorter, petite women that ride them.
Yeah,
so,
no, get those. Yeah.
yeah. But no, I'm real happy with the bike. It's actually taught me a lot of how to have my own body and my core communicate with my bike.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it's light enough where I can maneuver it in ways that I didn't know in the very beginning. And now I can kind of flip it around. I can, the other day was the first time I scraped my crash bars, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited. I'm like, I am winning.
Those are milestones.
Yeah.
They're kind of
Yeah.
like victory moments.
Yeah, and I heard it go, and I was like, oh shit, what's that? I was like,
Oh, the
did I
first
just
time-
do that?
First
That was
time it'll
great.
make you pucker, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time it'll pucker. As my old man used to say, couldn't fit a grease BB up there the first time you hit it. You clench up the first time you hit it,
Yeah.
especially when you don't expect it. you
Yeah.
know?
But you know what I've noticed, and I was having this conversation with my boyfriend when we were coming down here, is I said, it's interesting to me is that when I first got on that bike, here I thought, honestly, they delivered it to the house. It sat in the garage area, and I'm like, I'm gonna get on this bitch. I'm gonna get on this thing. I'm gonna go. I can do this. I can ride anything, right? I'll get on that thing, and I get it just out of the driveway. and I stalled and jumped or choked it, or not, I jumped it, and it died. And I was like, how the hell am I going to get this back? This thing is so huge. I can't.
Yeah.
It's humongous. But now it doesn't feel that big.
That's
Now,
seat time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I tell. Like, I have a lot of women that reach out to me and they're like, what advice can you give me? I'm like, practice, get on it, ride it. Because each and every time you get on that bike, you're going to have a different challenge and you're going to overcome that challenge the more you ride it. Like I had a wobble once on a left-hand long curve, and I was freaked out by doing lefts. I couldn't do lefts for the longest time. I was just like, every time I got on it, I was like, yeah, and once I got overcome that, then it was different. But I also say, they don't make a lot of parts specific to women. Okay. So it took a minute for me to figure out to have the right kind of bars and a right kind of seat for me. So I do have a custom seat that's coming. That's an inch move forward for me.
Yeah.
And my bars are MX bars. And that was a game changer. So I got the
7/8 grip.
Yeah.
Smaller.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got the built well MX bars, 10-inch risers with 2-inch pullback. And then the levers were game changer. The retractable or the adjustable levers. That made me feel like as soon as they put those on, I actually for the first time was like, oh, I can mob now.
Yeah.
I got this shit.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people like the adjustable levers.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
I think those are like great messages to hit when someone to separate the persona, the perception of what it is things like that are coming from. Because I didn't think of something until you said it right now. Most parts, they're not suited for a female rider.
No,
they're
not at all.
built. I mean, that's 90% of this industry, or maybe more, whatever it is. It's built for that.
That's why a lot of them ride sport bikes. They're easier. They're more,
makes sense.
I would say, woman friendlier.
But things like that, tips like that, would be like, oh, this is somebody that's putting in the research or some energy into finding out what works and then sharing that for other ones. Because like as soon as you said motocross bars, again, I'm like, I know 7/8, smaller grip, smaller hands. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's things like that.
And as an influencer, it's got that little extra bar at the top. So let's put all my camera gear up there.
Oh, gosh. We'll edit that out.
And actually, and you guys, I don't have my bike here today because I came from the northern area today. But my bike is like a tripod. I have about, seriously, and I know they say, oh, new riders shouldn't be doing that. But I just recently did a reel that said, when I get on my bike, my cameras are set. I hit start. I don't touch them. I don't do anything with them the entire time I'm on that ride. I don't actually review the footage until I'm obviously off the bike and I'm looking at it later. So those cameras are never a distraction for me as a new rider. What they are is they teach me. So I know, like, in my mind, I'm like, how did I take that curve? I knew it wasn't too great. Like, how could I have done that better? I go to the footage. I look and see. I can see myself riding. So I've got the bar in the back. I've got one up on my front fender. I got one on my saddlebags.
Crap, do you have poles sticking out?
I have
everywhere
no, I don't have poles. I have little tiny mini ones. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have all the Instas. I have an Insta 3X and a 4X.
Those influencers, man, I've seen some. I've seen street bikes going
They're annoying.
down, and I'm like, you look like a giant unicorn.
Yeah.
With one on one end and then the tail of a dragon sticking out the other end. And I'm like, doesn't look like a motorcycle anymore. I get it. That's the way you have to do
it's
it.
also proven. It's a safety and security measure. It's insurance because a lot of people are showing, if it's not me and I'm riding with a group, I actually can catch video of other people that have gone down so they can see how they went down and, and what happened and what was it, the circumstances. We didn't have that ability before. We didn't have that technology. Now we do, and I know, like, when the car gets too close behind me and, that kind of stuff, I know what things I could do to correct myself when I'm riding by watching my own footage. But I also can help other people that I share my video with as well that are in the ride with me.
And that's a valuable and insightful way for you to use your platform, what you're building, what you're doing is sharing that type of stuff and reminding people, because experienced rider or new rider, that's a good way to approach it. Like you, I've referenced it before. Comedians, I listen to like Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla, listen to their podcasts. And one of the things that these comedians always talk about, what they do is they watch themselves. Athletes, they watch themselves. They study themselves. They study, what was my 10 at-bats last time against this pitcher? And they watch themselves so that they know, like, oh, I need to fix this. I need to do this, or he's doing this, he's doing that. And I've realized now, doing this, as cringe as it still is, if I'm being honest, to watch yourself, watching yourself makes you recognize mistakes.
Absolutely.
And so that's a good way for you to be able to kind of utilize your content in that way, to share that knowledge. That's positive way to do
And
it.
another thing I had talked about before in a previous podcast that I've done was that they asked if I use music, if I listen to music in my head. And I said, absolutely not. I have a in my helmet, but I use it for GPS only. I will not listen to music because I want to hear my bike. I want to hear my pipes. I want to hear how I'm accelerating. I want to hear how it's actually running. I know that my bike now, every sound that it makes.
Mhm.
And if something is off, I'm going to know it.
Yeah.
So that's the appreciation I have for the bike as well. And that's one of those things that goes back to being a car girl, right? Like I got to know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to hear how it's running. And I have appreciation for the sound of the engine.
Yeah,
So
I give you a lot of respect and props for saying that right there. That's something I say a lot.
appreciate that.
Know your bike,
Mhm.
listen to your bike, and feel your bike. Like, don't get me wrong, I listen to music and stuff like that now, but I do hear my bike. I feel my bike. Like, he knows too. Like, he hears a squeak and he's like,
Yeah.
So yesterday, I'm like, the heck?
Yeah.
Like, something's up. Like,
I even hear it on people who
it's
ride next to me. I'm like, are you
it's
sure that's
instant.
right, buddy?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
good?
And I hear his too. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, something's squeaking, or whatever. And that's something that I really try and stress to people is know your bike and how it sounds and what it's doing.
Absolutely.
Because if you do, you could even be listening to music and you'll feel something and be like, something's not right. Something's not right.
Yeah, it's crucial.
It's not going fast. It's not slowing down right. Something's wrong.
These bikes aren't made perfect.
Yeah.
And you've got to be in tune to it just as much as it's in tune to itself. But I think that's a crucial aspect to understand. And that's one of the things that, even like when I ride with other people, they're like, you want to hook up with the comms? I have done that before where we're kind of chit chatting back and forth. There's one ride that I went on with a girl and I actually did enjoy this. We were on the comms and, her and I wanted to tackle a ride that's near us that we knew would be one of the first difficult rides that we did. It was going to be a challenge for the both of us. And we didn't want to do it with any dudes because, when you ride with the dudes, there is a thing that you have to kind of keep up, and you get shit if you don't. Right. So a lot of girls, I will say this, a lot of girls that I know specifically will go out and do the rides on their own before they ever ride with a guy or a group or any of that kind of stuff. And I do that. Like, I was not going to look like an idiot. I wanted to master my ride and my bike before I started to put myself out there. And for one, safety. I mean, I have 2 daughters. I want to come home to them at the end of the day. I don't want to pressure myself with a bunch of people that are forcing me to ride a certain way. So I think that's important. Know the ride that you want to be on and who you want to ride with is also really important. I won't just go with anybody.
Yeah.
I get offers every single weekend. I'm in San Diego. Will you ride with us? Will you ride with us? I don't. I would love to be able to, offer that to people and just ride with anybody. But I feel like even now, the people that I ride with, they don't feel like I'm a new rider, which is good. It's a great compliment for me. Yeah. Because I have put in that seat time. I was out doing it by myself. I would take it to the large parking lots. I took private courses too.
Okay.
Yeah, where they taught me how to, fly as fast as I could down the large parking lot of the college and slam on them brakes and stop your bike as much as you can, Yeah. And put all the cones out there and do the tight, that's what taught me how to actually use my body to whip the bike. So I would, have to do those tight, like the police officer ones that they show. Mm-hmm. That's what they had me doing. I was taking that bike and literally like manhandling it around. And that taught me that it was one of these things is when it kicked in is my mom used to say, don't let the horse boss you. You're the one that's on that horse. Like, you're the one that has to be the boss of it. Right. When I realized that, I was like, shit, I gotta be the boss of this bike. It's not gonna ride me. I'm gonna ride it. Yeah. So once that clicked in, I'm like, I got this. Yeah. So
one of the things that I will kind of speak against in terms of what you said, we had a guest, a buddy of ours here a couple of weeks ago, Cody, and we posted a video of what he said, of something that he said. And like, I get it. And I respect it. Like, hey, go check out the route, go do this, do that. But at the same time, I'll stress it again. Ride your ride, ride your ride. Even if you've never been on the road and you're going with a group of guys or people that are going to bust your balls, let them bust your balls, because I know too many people that have tried to not let people bust their balls or try and be like, I got to keep up mentality with people that they can't, or they're just not in their comfort zone, and bad shit happens.
Instead of busting your balls, you're calling an ambulance for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get it and I respect it, but
like, I try not to put myself in those scenarios.
And you shouldn't. So like, if if you're riding the ride and you're like, I've never rode that, I'm just going to go over here. When I get there, safe. When I get there, You can bust my balls because I would do it to my old man all the time.
Yeah.
I would do it to my old man all the time. My old man would be like, I'll meet you there. I'm like, come on, old man, you're slower than molasses, And he'd be like, I'll see you there. I'd bust his balls all the time for it. But
I had that.
He was always that's what he would always remind me of. Dude, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm over here watching the birds and looking at the trees and counting the stars or doing whatever he's doing.
He
Enjoying
says,
the ride.
do you see that lake? What lake?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was like, hey, did you see that waterfall? I'm like, what waterfall? Because I'm just like,
Yeah.
So ride your ride, know, in every aspect.
Yeah.
Some days you're gonna want to haul ass and do 1,000 miles an hour, and the other days you're gonna want to just be like my old man was and just gaze into the wherever.
Well, the first group ride I ever did was there was a guy that he was just very convincing. He's like, we're mature riders. Our whole purpose is to get home safe. We'll take care of you. I promise. You haven't been on a group ride. Just come do it. And he's like, there's only 6 or 7 of us. So I said, shit. And it wasn't going to be like a long freeway ride or in that kind of thing. He was going to do all through San Diego and around like Petco and around by the airport and just some really good areas. And then Old Town, we were going to have tacos and stuff. So I was like, all right, this is going to be the one I do. Let me do it. Now it's a group that I always ride with. But the funny part is that we're going down Imperial Beach and I'm second in front because that's where they put me because I was the newbie, right? And so he's up front leading and I'm behind him. And then I got about 6 or 7 people that are behind me and I can see them in my rear view and everybody's going. We're hitting this area on Imperial and they all start passing. And I knew we were going slow. And even for me, I'm like, why the hell are we going so slow? And he's leading up there in front. He's just, he's in his music and he's enjoying himself. And I don't know the ride culture. I don't want to everyone starts zipping past me and him. And I'm like, shit, is he going this slow for me? Like now I'm just embarrassed because I can actually go faster than this. Like you can challenge me a little bit, dude, So when we got to the first stop, I was like, hey, what? I really appreciate you looking after me, but you don't got to baby me. Like, don't do that to me. Cause then I'd feel really weird, in the thing. And like, I got a set, we can do this. And he goes, actually he got to that point and he goes, I was going to take that curve, but I was so fucking high. I couldn't get any faster. He goes, it's nothing about you, honey. He goes, I was just in my field.
Don't make this about you. It's all about me.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, well, I feel so much better now.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Allegedly, I've been there before. I don't know. Allegedly.
Yeah, but no, it's the group that I always ride with. I really enjoy it. It's a good core group. Now I'll eventually go on other rides with other people for sure, but I usually keep it about 3 or 4 people, that kind of thing. So I have nothing to prove. That's the thing. Oh. I'm out there to enjoy the ride. Yeah. I'm always about the growth for myself. So it's the challenges that somebody had asked me, what is it? Why do you ride? Well, I ride because I enjoy that part of each and every time overcoming something, whether it's a distance I haven't gone before, whether it's something on my bike bless you, whether it's a distance on my bike that I wasn't able to go to before, whether it was, just the challenge of it, the education of it, learning the bike. I don't want to just be that girl that's, like I said, showing the tits and ass on my Instagram. Which again, it's fine. I got tits and ass. I can show it, but I want to.
That road too.
Yeah, I want to be respected for somebody who enjoys the ride, loves the machine, and is actually educating myself about it. Yeah. That is really what the part is for me. That's what I want to do.
Well, I'm sure you have a background in the marketing and it sounds like you have a directive, a path, not just I'm going to show up and show the tits in the ass and just be the tits in the ass on my motorcycle. Well, that sells. There's no, we all know.
And more power to it. Whoever wants to do it. Like I said, I'm not bashing anybody who does that for sure. In fact, when I put something up recently, somebody messaged me and they said that the way that you're going about this and you're not selling your body in any of this and, going into those stereotypical things, I reposted it. And I had a couple girls in the message that said, girl, what are you doing here? And I went to their pages and they're showing it. I was like, hey, all the love to you. That's your platform. That's the message you want to give. I'm all for girl power. And like I said, if you want to show it and that's what makes you happy, show it. Yeah. All for it. But I just, for me, I'm looking to make a career out of this. So I know you have that stance on it. Do you think that unfortunately the lumps with the majority of people that lumps women into that category when it comes to the motorcycle industry? What's got me the beginning of my followers. Yeah. Okay. I mean, they were all like, and the messaging has changed. So, when I first started and I was kind of had more of a sex appeal to it, I think the messages that I was getting was, hey, girl, what's up? You know, how you doing? You know,
All right.
yeah. Now it's more of like great content. You know, do you want to collab with us? Do you want to do this? You know, we got this. You know, like I said, with the pipes, those guys were able to, when I posted that about that, they reached out and gave me or setting me up for the pipes. I got a custom seat coming from Bad Boy Cycle in out of LA area. They created it with my Instagram handle in the back of the seat for me. So they're doing that. And a lot of opportunities have happened when I also changed to more of who I wanted to be in the platform. But it took a minute to feel it out, you know, of who I wanted to be there. But I used to be a commercial producer for Fox. Okay. And so that's where the love of the videography comes in.
I see.
Yeah. So I love editing. I love capturing. I love the camera work and that kind of thing. I've always been behind the camera. This is the first time ever in my life that I've been in front of a camera.
I hate the editing. I hate it all. And I got to do it all the time. I hate it now. I hate it.
I love it.
I love watching. I love like the final product. I love sitting back and going, oh, you know, we went out, we filmed, we did a vlog, and then look at, we created this episode to come along with us on this thing. I love like that.
Not we, he.
Yeah. But I hate the editing. I'm like, oh my God, it's time consuming.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of energy and a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But I guess for going back to it, I got a question. I guess from a male from a guy, how do you think that changes then? Because I think that's the persona, that's the perception, that's kind of the idea that any girl, that's just kind of what's out there. It's kind of the feel is a girl that's coming out there, whether they're riding a Harley and doing it how you're doing it, or riding a Harley and showing the tits and the ass. They're all lumped into the tits and the ass category. And I guess that's what I think.
Respect is gained. It is. You gotta know what that key is and what you're going to tap into that is going to do that respect. I think when I actually, and I know what video changed it for everybody on me, was when I had my stock pipes and they have the black covers on them. Mm-hmm. And I got a 2-to-1 put on my bike, but it's not a brand that I particularly love. It's just a off-market brand. Mm-hmm. It sounds good now. I like how it runs, but I'm going to get better pipes. But when I burnt my leg, I'm like, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to take my stock covers, modify them myself, and put it over my 2-to-1. And so I was literally with a miter box saw and cutting my pipes, the covers, the black covers that had on it. And I spent the whole video cutting it and modifying it and putting it on my bike. When I did that, everyone's like, oh shit, this girl knows what she's doing. Okay. Yeah. So that was a big game changer for me.
I think that's definitely a one way and a big way actually to do it, because you're getting, it's not about getting your hands dirty. It's about, for me, it would be about what are you learning and taking away from this thing. That's something that I always say on this podcast, and what I'm like, because I question myself often, like, what are you doing, Ray? What in the world are you doing? Like, what is this that you're doing? Mm-hmm. And I always, the thing I always come back to is like, oh, I'm leaving something into it because I took a shit ton out of it. Like I took a lot out of it. Like I sucked the life out of this from my dad and his friends and that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I am and who I am now. And because of what they brought into it, I'm like, okay, I took out of this. Like my whole life is evolved around this thing. Yeah. This is my 2025 way that we live in to be able to contribute to what the 50 years before me with my old man and his friends did and brought it out, you know? So
if my page can encourage one woman to get on a bike and one man to respect a woman on a bike, and I get a decent man out of all this, because that's another thing. Like I wanted to create an environment. I'm a single woman, right? And I wanted to create an environment where I didn't want to get on any dating apps or any of that kind of thing. And I found my boyfriend on there. So we have common interests, common hobbies. I ride with him. And when you were talking about your dad giving his shit, this happened with us the other night. I was actually up here riding one of his bikes. And it was the first time I was on another bike that wasn't my own. So I was a little like leery, and it's a little bit bigger bike. Get it? And, he takes off and it's night. We had just left the Maverick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Up in, where's that?
Sandiness.
Yeah, we had just left the Maverick and we were heading back to his place, and it's dark and I have terrible vision at night. And all I want to see is his brake light right in front of me. He fucking takes off, and I've got my helmet's got the sun visor on it.
Oh, no.
So I'm going along there, and I'm trying to hold it up, and it's cold and it's blowing, and so I just I took that visor and ripped it off and tossed that fucker. And when we got up to the thing, he goes, "Why are you going so slow?" And I go, "Why are you such an asshole?" You know. He goes, "Where'd your visor go?" I go, "Where do you think it went? I can't see shit, and I'm trying to follow your brake light here." You know. He's like, "I thought you were riding your ride back there." I go, "Motherfucker, I'm just trying to see."
Yeah. San Ynez, that's a fun little ride.
It does get foggy up there too.
And it gets dark.
Yeah.
It gets dark and foggy.
Well, and there's deer and everything else, you know,
Yep.
and that's not, we don't have that in San Diego.
No.
Our friend works, Shannon.
Yeah, that's where we were at. We were
yeah,
visiting Shannon, Pretty Mama.
She'll be down here actually
Next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah, she's gonna come down and do a podcast with us on Saturday.
Love it.
Saturday,
And then she's
Chopper
joining
Fest
us
Sunday.
over at kind of collaborating with us a little bit over at Chopper Fest at our
Yeah,
booth that day.
Love that.
So, yeah.
That's we were up visiting her. I was actually riding with her earlier in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. She's about it. She's always out riding, going
Yeah.
places, doing the thing. And
She's a
been
good
doing it
friend
for
of
a while.
ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really it was one of those moments where I'm like, I made it when she goes, "How long you been doing this?" Because we were like whipping in and out of the cars and we were going down those roads, you know, and whatever. And she goes, "How long you been doing this?" And I go, "I've been riding for 4 months." She's like, "And you're already, you know, going lane splitting and everything else?" I said, "Well, I got to keep up with you guys." And she goes, "No, if you hadn't told me that, I never would have realized you were such a newbie."
There you go.
Yeah. So that was my aha, I made it moment.
It always comes down to seat time. It
Yeah.
always
really
always
does.
boils.
I'm on the
And
bike
like
every
you
day.
said, go by yourself, you know, go ride by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no stress. You tend to test yourself
Absolutely.
because you get comfortable and you're like, wait a minute, I felt comfortable through that turn last time. And then you'll do something like, oh, wow. Okay, let's do that. Or
one thing I've started to notice
always-
is putting pressure on my feet. Like I haven't always used my feet for pressure before.
Mhm.
So going into some of the quick turns and curves, I've been putting a lot more pressure kind of on my feet to get the
Yeah.
bike into there. Instead of before I was like, okay, got to sit straight and got to keep the bike. But no, I'm like, now I can use that momentum of that front tire and lay it in a little bit more. And now I'm comfortable with that, you know?
Yep.
So
it all works. It all helps.
But I do find like I drive my Jeep like I do my Harley now because now I'm using my core to drive my Jeep. And I'm like, does this thing lane split?
Yeah, riding a motorcycle will tend to do that to you. But that's a good take, I guess, for from a female aspect. I think about that and I see it often. It's out there. Part of our business is to follow social media and see what's happening, what the word is out there, keep up with products, keep up with companies. We put ourselves into a media business in the sense for this stuff.
Yep.
And so that, you know, I'm asking and talking to you about it again, first female guest into our podcast studio. I see it out there. I have, like I said, I got 3 daughters. So I want to see my kids on bikes, but I also see what the media world goes and feels about women on bikes. You know, and I know that that's the stigma, that's the stereotype, that's what it is out there. And as a dad to 3 girls, I would like, and that's why I asked, like, what is it going to take? What is it going to do? And I think from what you said, it's respect. And I think that's what is going to separate. And it doesn't mean because you're doing that. If I can, before someone go, well, how dare you? It doesn't mean because you're doing that means you don't have respect or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's how you're, portraying your social media.
Yeah.
That's what it is, you know? So
I was sitting at dinner last night and we were at a Korean barbecue place and there's 2 people on the end of the table from us. And the woman, we started talking about bikes and they heard us talking about bikes. And that's one of the things in my conversations with my boyfriend all the time is like, we have that commonality. I'm like, hey, did you see the new 2025s? And we're, you know, that kind of stuff. So we both enjoy that conversation, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're listening to us and the girl goes, my boyfriend rides. And so then they started talking about what he rides and that kind of thing. And we were going back and forth. And then he goes, she wants to start riding. And I was like, well, what's stopping you? And she goes, I don't know. And then she goes, I'm afraid. And he goes, she thinks she's going to get hurt. And I was like, we all think that every time we get on.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think that, you're stupid, you know? But we're doing something that is dangerous. Absolutely. But it's about also that going back to that respect the machine, respect the ride, respect the people around you, respect the neighborhood with your, the way that you drive or ride your bike through the neighborhood. You have to make sure that you're respecting all of that. At the end of that conversation with her, she's like, can I follow your social media? I said, of course you can. She goes, I want to start riding. So that type of thing, if she's going to ride, if she hears this and starts to be a rider, reach out to me. I'd love to hear, the end result of that. But like I said, if one rider or one woman is inspired to ride from my social media, my job's done.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. And I just, I'd like it to eventually not, I like to personally, again, with the dad to 3 girls, like it to be where it's not, the perception is that I think it's important.
How do you think we can change that then?
I think you're right on cue with it. I think sharing your journey, your riding, tips, tricks, working on your stuff a little bit, because that is what this culture, to me, I think. And if you talk to the ones that are probably like maybe feel that way about it, I think that's where there was a post. I guess this is a good way to put it. There was a post recently that my buddy John from Purpose Built. You ever heard of Purpose Built Motorcycles?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my homie, longtime homie, just through social media, actually, never met the guy personally, but had a lot of conversations
so many connections
back and forth with him, right? He posts, and him and I go back to, MC days. Him and I can relate in a lot of different ways. And he posted something recently where, he hit the nail on the mark. And I don't know. Can you don't need to bring it up on screen, Mike. Can you just bring it up on his Instagram page? Because his caption was like, it nailed it for me. And when I read it, I kind of went, okay, that is, to answer your question, I think that what he says, that's why I'd like to read it for you, is what will make the difference when I think, because the female rider population group recognizes the wrong word, understands that, okay, that's the culture. Mm-hmm. That is what is at this Harley stuff. And like,
I get haters that post comments that, woman, you shouldn't be on that
You're
bike.
always going to.
Yeah, exactly.
We
have haters that tell us shit now. That comes with the territory.
Absolutely. You're putting yourself out there. You're not going to have everybody that loves you, but what they say is it helps the algorithm too.
The best part is don't respond to it.
Yeah, I don't.
Know what I mean?
Yeah.
The less you respond to it, the less you're going to have to deal with the crap.
But I will say,
they're looking for something.
When I put videos where I'm showing my vulnerability, where I'm showing a mistake that I know I've made, I get eaten alive. Yeah. Like there was an incline. That I
saw it.
Were you that one that wrote?
I saw it.
I was just telling him, when I post something that shows my vulnerability and my mistake, I get eaten alive. I've archived 2 videos just because I was like, the shit talkers were beyond. I'm like, enough. I'm tired of it. Like, this is a positive platform. I don't need to hear all that. But it was an incline where I came up and they're like, well, why can't you just park or go forward and park? Well, you don't understand the way the road was. I can't say all of that. It doesn't look like as much of an incline on the video. But when my buddies came down and grabbed the bike, they're like, well, let's just push it up. I mean, it's about the camaraderie. You know, you help each other out.
Oh, do you have it right
now?
Yeah, okay.
But people were like, well, why don't you just do this, girl? Why don't you do that? Oh, what you're, pussing out and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't need this.
I feel like if people see that you genuinely enjoy what you're doing and you're riding and you're not doing it for the dumb, wrong reasons, it'll all fall into place. You know what I mean? It all falls into place and people get to know you and they respect you because they see who you really are and what you're aiming towards. What's
interesting, I was going to point this out. Do you want to read that?
No, go ahead.
The difference between a female influencer and a male influencer, though, is the males typically, and I've started putting mine more on the bar in the back, but the male influencers it's simple. They just put the bar on the back and they do sometimes stupid shit, touching all the semis and all that kind of stuff. And then, laying the bike, or now they're doing some things where it's, in engagement and whatever with people. But I get more likes when I put my camera on the front of the bars.
I thought you were going to say the only difference is the XX and XY chromosomes. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No, I mean, they can just throw up some music and them riding in the back and, leaning the bike and going around a curve real fast. But for me, I've got to do more than
the thing is, though, is they show that. But I bet you there's a couple videos of them slipping out or sliding out and they won't post that.
Well, some of them do. They do, because that actually gets it. Then they get all the engagement of everybody, doing it. And if they're riding with somebody's hoodie, then that company's hoodie is like, well, let's send you some more, that kind of stuff. So that's that's the other thing too with this being a network. Collaborations are great.
How come I don't get hoodies or nothing sent to me when I read?
I know. We're doing something wrong, dude. We got a podcast studio. We're inside Ventura Harley-Davidson. Like, we're sponsored by it. We're sponsored. Like, what are we doing? We're doing something wrong.
Oh, here, I've had guys tell me like, hey, could you put my bike up on your page and say it's your project bike?
Jeez. Okay, so this is what I wanted to. This is to answer your question when you ask, how does that get
This is
changed?
a
How can we
good one.
change it?
This
How
is
do you
good.
change it? I read this was actually from he posted this January 23rd. And so what are we today? We're in February. So this was over a week ago.
February
This
1st.
was over a week ago. And when I read it, I went, damn, that is what that is it. So let me read it to you.
Okay.
I said, it says, a lot of you new guys don't get what this is really about. You see this scene or subculture through the filtered lens of social media, and it shows. You bolt bikes together to impress people you don't know and will never meet. You overbuild them to the point they're unrideable garbage. John is John. Hoping for a shout out from some brand and crying if you don't get it. Then you turn around and post it for sale with 1,500 miles since built, trying to get back every dollar you spent. But here's the truth. Some of you haven't even had to fabricate a part in your garage late at night just to make the ride the next morning because it broke last weekend. This life is about people and miles. The bikes, ? They're secondary. They're tools to get you to your friends and keep riding, not trophies for a bunch of strangers on Instagram or TikTok to like. Less is more. Stop building these overdone clown show bikes that look like a big wheel bagger's inbred cousin. Invite your crew over to wrench in your garage. Rip some roads together. Use social media to connect with someone in the next state and see their build in person instead of hiding each other in the DMs like school kids. Build your bike with a purpose, something beyond a 5-second scroll.
Yeah.
Now, when I read this,
I agree with that.
let me unravel that, man, because it hit for me extremely hard because he didn't stray away from saying don't use social media. And for me, that was like the biggest takeaway because social media is a giant tool.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing. That is what this platform is
That's
based
what
off
he used
of.
that for.
And that's exactly what he used that for. So he did shy away from saying, don't allow social media to not be a place to connect
Platform.
with people that are
Of
like-minded,
course.
but don't let it be the
Purpose for you riding.
don't let it be that. Don't get caught up in like everything he said there, the bike builds and getting parts and the sponsors and trying to get this person's attention because you
Mhm.
see them on social media and like go and ripping some roads with your friends, sitting in the garage. I've been in all those putting together your bike hours before you're going on a week-long trip with, like those are the things that when I look back and when I look at what I grabbed from this culture and why I am who I am, those are the things I grew up with and around, and the men that's how they function.
Mhm.
And when I read that, man, I just went, John, that's why I've been homies with him for 10 plus years. That I'm more than that. I'm friends with John since he had purpose-built motorcycles on a private Facebook group page way back in the day, man.
And he makes some very quality product too.
Oh, for sure. But
Very quality.
when I read that, I went, oh man, that is the get.
Mhm.
That to me, if like people want to understand how to be a part of this culture, you want to be an influencer, you want to be a social media person, you want to have a following, you want to make money in it, you want to brand it, you want to monetize it. That is all a business. I want to see that for everybody out there. But when you come into the world that I love and live and I eat, shit, breathe, and everything about it, that's where I'm like, all right, come in, because I want newcomers to come in. It needs to be, because without it,
Mhm.
what happens to it? Dies.
Yeah.
But I don't want them. Now, I'm going to stand on it. I don't want them coming in for the purpose of, I want the attention.
Yeah.
I want the sponsorships. Everything that he just said in that right there are all the reasons that I'm like, that's where it's like hard to determine what's that line in the sand that.
But when you get to a certain level though, when you're an influencer that is around 60 to 70,000 followers, you already get the sponsorships that are coming to you and saying, we want to pay you and work with you. And are you going to tell them no?
No. And that is Joe and I have had this conversation before because people will tell you, no, you get the 60, 70,000 followers. That is, don't get it twisted. That is because you put in work. Trust me, you didn't get no 60, 70,000 followers. Shit, I'm barely at what? What are we at on followers?
8,500.
Fuck, we're barely there, and we've been up and running. This is going into our 3 years. But I
have 11.5K in 4 months.
And let me tell you, Brandi, I ain't ever worried about the number.
Yeah.
You know why? You know why I'm never worried about the number? Because I want to make sure that the people that are here because they're
You're worried about you want the quality over quantity.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't even care about a shit ton of quality because that goes back to what I'm doing. I mean, yeah, and from a business perspective, absolutely.
Yeah.
I need that in order to drive the business. There is a connection there.
Mhm.
So yeah, do I want it? Yeah. Does it mean I'm going to get to that number by just making sure I'm not focused on the number?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
That's how I
that's a good
plan to
perspective.
get there, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what this mark hits. So to go full circle, how does that separate? How does that work to relieve that perception? I think things like that. Not everybody's going to work in the garage and be like putting shit together the night before because you just maybe don't have that skill set or that or anything like that. But there are a lot of other things in there where you're going to go, okay, that's when people recognize that that's how you're intertwined into this industry, easy to go.
Well, that's
lifer, influencer, or
there for just the attention.
Here for the sake of that looks cool. Well, I want to be cool.
If I could sit down with your daughters in front of me right now and they said they wanted to ride, what I would tell them, and they wanted to be on social media and they wanted to try this, what I would tell them, and I would tell my very own daughters, because I have two of my own, is learn how to ride your bike. That's the first and foremost is riding a bike properly and understanding it and having the safety of it, enjoying it.
Yeah.
What I said earlier about my own page is when I had the camera in my hand showing myself riding on the back as a backpack and, I got the cleavage showing and everything else. When I changed from that to modifying my pipes myself, showing where I'm going and riding the distance and the seat time that I'm doing and that type of thing, that changed.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to exactly what you're saying is when I changed it from the attention of being on me and in the attention of being on the purpose, that is what needs to be said. I would say that to my own daughters. Don't be there trying to get the attention, be there for the purpose. And when that changed in my own social media, the respect and the way that men even spoke to me was much, much different.
Man, that's real talk right there. Like that's real. Like you can pinpoint, you can go to the moment where you're like, oh, that's
the game changer.
That's where it flipped.
Yeah.
That's where it was like, I'm being looked at different than just the T and the A.
And that's the thing though. That's this person who I am now. That is me. I was falling into the stereotype of what I thought all men and everybody on social media wanted. And that's what I'm trying to say is that's what I would tell your daughters. Don't fall into that.
And so
we can redefine it.
Stay true to yourself.
I think that's a great thing because I'm in my mind, I honestly don't think that that's like what every girl out there that's writing thinks like that's what they fall into it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, that's what works on Instagram. That's how it sells. I mean,
sex sells. That's
only
what they
fans and all this stuff. Come on, let's be real. That's what so I love to hear that it was this before, and then it was like, oh, a recognition of oh, this is how I not fit in, but this is like the tipping point of I'm not being just looked at as in that point of view, I guess. And that's great advice there. I love to hear that. Not that my opinion or my blessing or anything like that means shit. It's just, again, I don't know.
No, it does, because you're of the community. You're a voice in here, and it's the same thing. Like I said, it even changed the way I was being engaged. Before I was being a sexual a figure on there, and the way I was engaged by men was always something. I would get questions like, is there a page where I could see more of you? Do you have an OnlyFans? Do you have all of that stuff? I don't get anything like that now. Now I love it because I have what I call regular followers. I'm sorry. I have regular followers and they'll check in, and I have one that's like, hey, on Tuesday, I'm having a heart surgery. I'm gonna make sure I'm on there Tuesday telling them beforehand, good luck with your heart surgery.
There you go.
It's people. It's just being genuine. Everybody that messages me gets a response. Every single person gets a response. I make sure I reach out to them. I always tell them, thank you for the support. And if somebody gets improper with me at this point in time, I say, hey, this is a platform to talk bikes. You want to talk bikes with me? Let's go ahead and talk. You want to talk about destination where you think I should be riding? Let's talk about it.
Set the boundaries.
Absolutely.
Right? This isn't a page for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what people portray by your posts. You know what I mean? There's friends that I know, and they're like, well, this guy and this guy, they're always in the well, look what you post. Like, if you don't want dudes being dogs in your DM, stop bending over posting your ass. You know what I mean?
It's
straight
true.
up.
It's very true.
I'm just being real. You're gonna get a dog. You want a boyfriend, a good man. Do you and be you. Be respectful. and you're going to get a man to ask you to dinner or a date or something. Not,
and
hey,
that's what happened.
not, hey,
now I got to go.
Hey, what's up tonight? You know what I'm saying? Though you
Yeah.
portray what you're going to get what you portray out there.
Yeah.
For sure, all the time.
I think that's I think that's something that I kind of knew, but hearing that now, talking to someone that was like, oh, I fell into what I had thought had to be portrayed as a female rider. Like that's the only thing that's going to be liked or like accepted.
It made me grow very quickly, very fast.
So,
but now I have, like you said, you don't care how many followers you have. I don't care either. Right now, I really care that I'm putting the message out.
Don't get me wrong. Please make sure you follow the page.
Go like his page. But no, I do. Well, okay, so I also do care, right? But it's the growth. It's when it sits there, and also I do hate that Instagram changes that algorithm all the time. I find like once this, it was about 2 months ago, the Instagram shut down for the day, and leading up to that, my followers were like, I usually get about 100, 150 followers a day, and it was like 3 or 4. And I'm like, what is happening? And I had this really great, post that I was going to do on the day that it all shut down. And the post was like frozen. I had to cancel it and everything else. But after that, I started to see they changed the algorithm, and then it was starting to build again from there, so you got to learn how to pivot and recreate in this industry too.
Yeah. Ours has been hitting hot like lately, like the past couple of weeks. I've been noticing it's like hitting the algorithm, but it's like you said, it does this
hit or miss sometimes. It ebb and flows.
I posted that video of him at the stoplight going, what do I do? Like, I don't know. I can't do tricks. I can't do. And then it was just him riding away, just like going, and it's like a 8-second clip. And it was just like, it's like hitting. Yeah. And then we posted badass burnouts and did all this stuff with a bitchin' song. And it's like 40 likes. It's like, you never know.
Never know.
You know what I mean?
I have one right now that's real questionable, and it's hitting big. It's like over 175 right now. And it's, my, God love them, is my service company, the guys who service my bikes for me. They have a hoodie, and I put that hoodie on, and I would pull up to downtown Encinitas, and I'm on my bike, and this pedestrian comes through, and he comes right at me, and he's coming right at me, and I'm like, what the hell? This guy's coming at me, And then he gives me a high five, and like, go girl, and then keeps walking. Well, I played the song, "You Look Like You Love Me," the country song, and so that's the song that I was playing, but what I started to get, I was like, oh, this one's going to hit. This one's good, right? Well, it hits for that reason. But then there's some people that are like, paid attention to my hoodie that I didn't even know on the back has this eagle that could represent like some sort of German Nazi sign. And I'm like, wait a minute here. That is not the message I'm wanting to send, right? So they were getting real like upset about that in the comments. And I'm like, guys, it's a hoodie. I didn't even know that, So you just never know what is going to get the attention of people. And you have to be so careful of what maybe you don't want the free hoodies for this very reason, because you got to know what you're putting on. You got to be selective too,
Yes,
whatever you're putting out there is a message that's going to be, everyone's going to see it.
But it is, public PR is a real thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It is a real thing, especially in this business. Perception, how words that we say, people latch onto.
Of course,
been there, dealt with that.
Yeah. You got to bite your tongue on stuff and really be careful. Everything's got to be really politically correct too. Sometimes, not all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes you need to let people remind people, I stand on this side over here. You know? Like that. Sometimes you have to do that. But especially now. This is a look at where we're sitting. We're sitting inside of a Harley dealership. Yes. Can we do it? Can we do it exactly like we did it in the garage? Probably not. But can we keep it real and raw like we did in the garage? Same thing, just alter it a little bit. We just won't talk about. We just won't talk about Indian motorcycles.
We talk crap about them. What I have learned about this media thing, though, social media, and sounds like you have to, just post it. I think if you're not, I have now just said, post it, Ray. Post it. There's too much time where I've spent just sitting there trying to time the music with the this and the that, and nobody ever knows. Well, probably most of the time
the work goes into
they
it.
Don't even. But two, it doesn't even like. I'm just trying to reach you, and not reach you in a way of like, hey, pay attention to me. Just hey, we're doing motorcycle shit around here, and if you like the motorcycle shit that we do around
come
here,
join us.
We got some shit for that you can do. You can come to a bike night. You can come to an event. We're going to be at this event. We're going to be over here, over there. We're going to have an open house. We got a podcast to come talk. Like, we're doing motorcycle shit. All you motorcycle people out there,
Yeah.
So that's what I've kind of flipped on in my head and go, all right, stop worrying about having to have a better looking reel than the person that just posted something else.
Yeah.
Just post a damn message
Yeah.
and go, we're here for a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Come on out.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the route that we're going down with this thing. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. And we get to talk to cool people like you.
And I do too.
Yeah.
This is, this was such an opportunity. I really appreciate you guys having me.
Sure.
Of course.
So I would like to end it on a question that I think we kind of touched on it, but I want to hear it kind of in your own words, and maybe you just rephrase it, repurpose it. But for what is the kind of the best advice then that you would give just female riders? Doesn't matter, new experience, whatever, you kind of riding out there. What would be some advice that you would offer up?
From start to finish, if you haven't gotten a bike and you're interested in finding a bike, I think it's important to have in this industry, you do have to have some males that are around you that are educated to help you out. So, and that is even if you go to the dealership to purchase a bike, sit on every bike you possibly can. Don't let somebody talk you into something else. It's like a wedding dress, if you ask me. When you sit on it, you know it's right, right? So when you put it on, you know it's right. And when I sat on my Street Bob, I knew it was right, right bike for me. And I had everybody telling me everything else. Sit on this one, you need this one. I sat on the one that felt right to me, and that's the one that I bought. From that on, I had a good crew of people that was with me that supported me. They're like, this is what you got to do. And this is how you got to get it. And this is, I wish there was this one thing for women specifically on how to measure us properly on the seat and the handlebars to get the right fit for us. There's nobody that really does that. So if that's something lacking for women specifically, we need that. We need somebody to go, hey, sit here. This is the type of seat you need. And these are the type of bars that you need. This is where you're going to feel comfortable and you're going to reach right. If there's somebody that can do that for everybody, please find them right now. All women want that. But beyond that is to get the right parts that are for your bike. If you want to stay within a budget, you don't have to get everything that's super expensive to begin with. People give me shit that I bought my bags off Amazon. I wanted to make sure that this was something I could do, and I got good bags. I like them. And I didn't pay as much as y'all did.
Yeah.
So
are they like the thrashing bags?
They're like the Viking bags, but they're huge.
Okay.
Yeah, they're big. They look like they're big.
Yeah.
They're not like the little small Vikings or the Harley ones that are smaller. They're full size bag.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're hard bags.
Okay.
Yeah. But I paid like $400 for them. So
what? It ain't always about the quality, man.
Yeah.
There's a T-Sport fairing out there that people buy that's $100.
Yeah.
And it looks like, Trevor Bulletproof Welder, our homeboy.
Yeah.
I think his very first one.
That's what I have on mine.
He's done multiple
I got
paint
from
jobs
eBay.
on his, and he's got his first one that he had like a show winning, like I'm talking high end winning paint job on his bike.
Mm-hmm.
It was $100 crater fairing from Amazon.
Yeah.
The part doesn't.
I just had my the screen on mine vinyled out, so it's darked out. But no, and seat time. So once you get the bike, don't be afraid of the bike. Get on it, ride it, practice, do whatever you can. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to get out there and do it. And I'm one of those people that likes the challenge. So if that's the personality that you have, a lot of women are just scared that they're going to get hurt. I'm scared that I'm going to get hurt, and there's a lot of women that will say, I'm not sure if I can do this, or I'm not sure I can do that. We all have had that question, man and woman. We've all wondered if this is something we can do. If you think any man's gotten on that bike ever and wasn't scared of something that happened to him on it, you're kidding yourself. We all have.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's really what it is that, I also, like I said, I wanted a Street Bob because I wanted to not have us pull up and have a sporty and everyone's like, oh, it's a chick riding a sporty, I actually have a bike that's got some oomph to it. And what I like is that when we are on our group ride and they actually they tell me they let me, but I know that they don't just let me, but we pull up to, the stoplight and we're all there at the line. I can beat those boys with that M8 right off the line. Even with the big baggers and everything else. I'm like, my little M8 will just like whip you guys out. At first I was like, is this because I'm lighter? And they're like, no, it's because your engine's better, woman.
I would have said, yeah, because it's lighter.
Yeah.
I would have said, it's lighter. That's what all it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like we're on old Dynas here. You got the M8 and you just beat us off the light there. And, there's some gratification in that. Those little wins for me are good. I like that.
For
so
sure.
those, that's what keeps me going too. But I'm in this for life. I'm hooked. I'm not going anywhere. This is where I want to be. Whether I'm on social media or not, I want to enjoy this.
Yeah, that's usually where it lands. And I think that's most people, once they figure out like once you get over the fear of on a motorcycle, because
Yeah.
being on a motorcycle can be a scary thing,
Yeah.
especially the first time for sure. Once you overcome that part of it, you're hooked.
Mhm.
It's hard to. It's an adrenaline rush that can't be matched in a lot of other places, and you just kind of get sucked in, and you meet cool people, and you're like, I'm here.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
just bought the torque bag and the tent, so I'm gonna do some camping this.
There you
this-
go.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's.
Cool.
I
Well,
love
make
to do
sure to
that
invite
stuff.
you. We're doing some
Love
we're
it.
doing some stuff. Yeah, we got some stuff planned for the summer. So
Okay.
well, Brandi, I always want to make sure that people know how to get in contact with you, reach you. Sounds like you want to be a good resource for male or women,
Absolutely.
male or female, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So where can people kind of reach you and get in contact with you?
So my Instagram is really all that I have. I do not do TikTok or Facebook, but Girl Loves Harleys on Instagram. I'm happy to answer any questions. DM me. Like I said, I will always respond. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody's got.
Right on.
I'm happy to be here and happy to be a part of this industry, and also, invited to do things like this. This is really a pleasure. I appreciate it. You guys are good guys.
Conversation is always important.
Yeah.
That's I believe in it.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging
Absolutely.
out. If you guys don't already know, every Thursday we premiere these podcasts on here, and every Monday we do our vlogs, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Catch all of our other all of our other podcasts over on Spotify. Check out all the YouTube channel. Make sure you give Brandi a follow over on her pages as well, and keep up with everything that's going on over there. All right. Appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. Brandi,
Thank you.
thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thank
It's been
you.
fun. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
You guys make sure you guys tune in next week. We'll see you later.
Peace.